Hi, I'm Debbie Robinson from Crafter's Companion, and we're going to make a project using all the elements from the latest Silhouette Stencils and Stamps Craft Kit Subs Box number 43. And here is the finished gorgeous card that we're going to make. So I've took one of the panels that comes in the subs box, which is the watercolour cardstock, and I've created a background using our water reactive ink pads, and I went for fuchsia crushed velvet with parakeet and literally just pop that on to your cardstock, and then you're ready now. You've got a base ready to create your silhouette stencils and stamps straight onto. I think I'm going to have it that way. So what we're going to bring in now is one of the stencils, and I've just chosen the lovely one that matches, I think, matches the fairy stamp really well, which is this gorgeous tree and mushrooms design. I've already placed on the back some repositional spray, but again, you can be holding your stencils down into play with low tack tape by simply positioning it and then holding low tack tape around all sides. I prefer the method of popping the spray onto the back, which is repositional, so it does give you non-residue when you lift it off, but it also holds the stencil into place to be able to create your silhouette background with ease. So for me, this is the chosen one that I would use. Now again, what I'm going to do is bring in some ink, and I've gone with water reactive ink pad, which is in jet black, but you could be using opaque pigment ink pads and going over the top and then popping your clear embossing powder on. You could use quick dry inks if you wanted a quick dry element where you get no smudging, but I'm going to go in with the water reactive dye over the top of the stencil. So what we're going to do now is place some of the ink onto the mat, pick that up with the applicator and saturate quite a bit of the ink onto there. So I'm picking it all up. So it's all loaded up onto my applicator, and then I'm going to go in over the stencil to create that lovely silhouette. The more you load up onto your applicator, the more solid the silhouette will be. So again, just choose which ink pad it is that you want to create, but you'll see in a moment when we take this stencil off how lovely this silhouette actually looks, regardless of which ink you use. Just going to bring in a piece of tissue to hold it into place. Because we have moisture on our hands, it can lift the ink with it being water reactive. So a little top tip there, just pop some tissue down, holding it into place while you're popping the ink on. And then when you're ready to take that off, I'm just going to give it a little wipe with the tissue so it's not on my hands and doesn't transfer on to the inky background. And again, just wipe up all your table area or your glass mat. Just take that off. And then you're ready to take off now. And again, with it being repositional spray, just take your time with this. And we'll chop as cardstock down to size in a moment, but I just want you to see the reveal when you take off how fabulous that stencil silhouette feature looks. And now we're ready to go on with the stamping. For this part, what I'm going to do now is bring in one of the stamps, and I'm going to use the lovely fairy silhouette stamp. You've got all these lovely different ones to choose from, but really lovely. You've got little stars in here as well that you could be using, but I'm just going to use the lovely fairy silhouette, and I've loaded her onto my stamping platform. So I'm just going to bring in my stamping mat, and this is just to get a crisp stamp. Pop your image down, and again just choosing an ink pad that will work. So I'm going to use the Finesse waterproof dye for this one, which is the raw black, but again you could be using quick dry ink onto here. You could be using, if you want that lovely heat emboss technique, then perhaps switch this to one of the opaque pigment ink pads, and you could go with the black one and then add your clear embossing powder and heat set it, which will give you a different look as well. But I'm just going to go in to create a nice solid silhouette figure of the fairy, and just gently tap over the stamp and load that up, and then we're going to position her, and she's going to literally be floating in between the trees and those mushrooms. And again, just press that down and transfer all that ink onto your background, your stencil background. And you can see how beautiful that looks when that's all loaded up. Now again, I'm going to bring in one of our silver metallic paint markers, and this again is just to touch up the little areas and literally just add a little bit of shadow onto the back. So I'm going to go onto the back of her, and we'll do a little bit around the wings as well. And I'm not going to go all the way around. I'm just going to literally just touch areas where you think if the moon was there would be shining over her. And I'm going to do it onto some of the stencils here. And I had a couple of little features too. So let's go around some of those mushrooms. And again, you'll find these available on our website, which is the Spectrum Round Metallic Paint Markers. And I'm using the smallest of the nibs for this one to get all this fine detail. So I'll have a little bit upper arm onto a dress. We'll go around all those little edges there. And there you go. That just creates that lovely shadow effect, and it really looks quite effective when you add that on. Now we're ready to put it all together to make a card. So I've taken one of the card blanks that are in the subs box, and this is one of the black panels, and I've taken some of the cardstock and cut that down to size to fit in. So I've just taken a quarter of an increment off the ends to create that perfect matte and layer. We're just going to pop some glue onto the back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of the ribbon that we've got in the subs box. I'm just going to attach some of the ribbon around the outside. And again, I'm just going to use some tape for this and pop a little bit of tape going down the front of there. And just attach the ribbon on. And then attach to the back. And then I'm going to use one of the sentiments that are in your subs box. And for this one, I've taken the Have a Magical Day, which I think fit that perfectly. And I'm just going to add some 3D Collage glue to the back of there. And there we go, we've got our finished project using all the elements from subs box 43, the silhouette, stamps and stencils.